Okay. Last week, anybody remember that was here? Don't go with your gut. Don't follow your heart. So many times we get in this thing on making decisions or with reactions of, hey, I'm just going to go with my gut on this one. Anybody ever done that and your gut led you wrong? Hey, you know what's in your gut? I rest my case. All right? Don't go with your gut. Your gut. Anybody, I've heard people say, well, I'm just going to follow my heart. Okay? What does the Bible say about the heart? It's deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. So going with the gut and following the heart, very much the same thing. And we do and say things when it comes to relationships, and we say, well, I'm just going to go with my gut on this. I'm going to follow my heart. There is nothing scriptural about that. What we're supposed to do is follow Christ and His Word. That's it. Just follow Christ and His Word. Dig into the Word. Spend time with Him. Let His Word and the Holy Spirit lead us to the right answer. Not just going with our guts. Many relationships are destroyed because, well, I'm going to go with my gut. Relationships with employers, employees, children and parents, spouses, friends, neighbors, churches. Okay? When we go with our gut and go with our heart, a lot of times we're assuming things. Okay? We assume things, and there's an illustration for that I won't give. But if you know it, then you know what I'm talking about. 1 Corinthians 13, are you there? 1 Corinthians 13? Okay, so last week was don't go with your gut, don't follow your heart, just follow Christ in the Scriptures. Do what's right, even when it's counterintuitive. Just do what's right, okay? Now, the week before, anybody remember the week before? No. Somebody said, expectations ruin relationships. All right, you remember that? Okay, and here's what that is. Two of our key needs in life, we need security and significance. The security, not just will protect me from somebody beating me up or something like that, but security, that security of knowing, okay, their love for me is a constant. That's one of the constants in life, is no matter what I say, no matter what I do, they're going to still love me. Okay? They may be irritated, but they're going to love me. So security and then significance. You know, hey, I'm important to this person. Everybody wants to be important to somebody. All right? Now look, if we're not careful, we have an expectation of our spouse. We spent more time on spouses that week. Of our spouse meeting that expectation on their own. Making me feel totally secure and making me feel utmost significant. Look, that is something that a man or a woman cannot do for somebody. Not the 100%. There's only one that can do that. Who is that? Jesus Christ. I can only find my utmost security and significance in Jesus Christ. Now, when I transfer that responsibility or that expectation onto my spouse, then I have set them up for failure. Right? I'm expecting something of them that they can't do. Now, when I have an expectation for them and they fail to meet my expectation, now I'm irritated. Now I feel insecure. Now I feel devalued. Now I feel resentful because I'm expecting something out of them that they can't truly give me. Young ladies, look, you're going to get married one day. Look, before you ever worry about developing a relationship with some knuckleheaded guy, okay? Realize this, that all you really need is Christ. Find your security and significance in Him before you ever entertain some bonehead out there, okay? Guys, yes, I'm talking to you, Schroeder. As you get older, before you ever look at developing relationships, Brian, how old are you now? Yeah, right. Marriage is just around the corner, buddy. No, look, you guys learn to find your security and significance in Jesus Christ. Okay? And then anything your wife or husband has to offer you, well, that's icing on the cake. Okay? But they can't live up to Jesus Christ. Only He can do that. All right? So expectations ruin relationships. When I expect something out of a person that person is not even capable of delivering on, I've set them up for failure. Okay? Now here's tonight's lesson, okay? A safe atmosphere. Look in 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 7. I'll tell you what, before you look there, are you there already? Okay, just stay there, but look at me for just a moment. The older I get, the more I look back and I say, wow, if I could go back and do this over, I would do it differently. Any of you with me on that? I would probably do this a little differently. Here, I want to tell you something parenting I did that I would do differently. I did something very wrong as a parent. I think it was a very bad move on my part. When my young children were younger, I would say things like, well, I'm going to tell you what. If X ever happened, if you were ever involved in X, then here's what's going to happen. All right? Now, hold on a minute. Let me tell you, I went extreme, though. I wasn't just, okay, look, if you lie, you're going to get a spanking. They knew that. But my spankings of my children, they weren't fun things, but we never left the room without everybody smiling, and genuine smiles. I love my kids. I hate to spank them. But and when they were younger, especially my older ones, I would say things like, if I ever found out you drank some alcohol, I'd find out who gave it to you, and I would do whatever. If I ever found out you were doing drugs, I'd find out where you got it from, and I would say something extreme. All right? My boys knew Dad says what he means what he says. If he says it, he would follow through with it. So now here's what I did in doing those kind of things. I was telling my children, you are safe to talk to me about anything except this if it ever happens. Do you understand what I'm saying? So when a time came for one of them needing to talk to me about something of a pretty serious nature, they couldn't. I'd already set it up. I'd set myself up as a dad for failure. When they finally came and spoke to me and just laid all the cards out, they said, Dad, now listen to what I did to them. Here's what I put in their head. They said, Dad, I wanted to tell you earlier, but I was afraid you'd go and kill someone. Do you see a problem there? Do you see a problem there? There's a problem there. Okay. I had set up an atmosphere where my children could talk to me about almost anything, knowing that my children are clothed in the same flesh I am clothed in, and that of all the temptations they may encounter, they're probably not going to successfully say no to every one of them, however large or small they are. Now, they're capable of it, but they're probably not. I didn't. David, a man after God's own heart, didn't. Moses didn't. Abraham, the friend of God, didn't. So I created a semi-safe atmosphere for my children. Are you following me? Now let's look at 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 7. Though I speak with the tongue of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not charity, I am nothing. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not charity, it profiteth me nothing. So he starts out these first three verses telling how important charity is. He said, man, if I gave everything I had away, but it wasn't out of love, I was worthless. If I could speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but I don't have love, the love of God in my heart, I'm not displaying that, don't love God, don't love my neighbor, then I'm just a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. It's empty, it's vain. If I give my body to be burned, but I don't have charity, what a waste. So now he unpacks what charity looks like. Okay? Charity is another word for love. Listen to this. Verse 4. Follow along with me. Charity, what's the next two words? Suffereth long. In other words, it is enduring. Charity, the true love of God, endures anything. Whatever comes its way. And is what? Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. Is not puffed up. Doth not behave itself unseemly. What's the next four words? Seeketh not her own. In other words, it's not, okay, we're going to do this my way or it's the highway. It's not about what's best for me, what benefits me the most. No, that's not charity. Charity doesn't seek her own, is, what's the next three words? Not easily provoked. In other words, the person who is filled with charity or love, they're not going to be marked as a hothead. They're not going to be short-tempered. They're not going to be stubborn and ill-willed. What's the next three words? Thinketh no evil. Boy, I wonder if I was displaying that when I told my sons, boy, you ever found out you did this? I found out who did it, and here's what I'm going to do. Was that thinking no evil, or was that thinking evil? I was thinking evil. Rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth. Next three words. Beareth all things. Now think about that. Beareth. To put up with, to carry. All things. All things. That is security right there. Utmost security. Believeth all things, hopeth all things. Boy, look at how it says it. The next three words, what are they? Endureth all things. Now think with me for a moment. How safe a place would our relationships be if that described how we displayed our love for those that we have a relationship with? Let me read some of those again. Parents, think if this is how your children perceived their relationship with you. Suffereth long, kind, seeketh not her own, not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, beareth all things, endureth all things. Now, I'm not foolish enough as a parent to think that my children are going to come and tell me 100% of everything they think, say, and do. I wish they would. But it is up to me to provide an atmosphere in our home to where if they don't, that's on them. It is up to me as a dad and up to my wife as a mom to create an atmosphere in the home where no matter what that child does, they know I can go to mom, I can go to dad, and though I may be punished for it, it's okay. Because they're going to love me, they're going to help me, we're going to work through this. It is not over. They're on my side. They are for me, not against me. They think good things, not evil things. They will be long-suffering with me. They will be kind. Even in the midst of the punishment, they're kind. Had a teenager at the school at our church. We still gave out paddlings. And the teenagers would come up there. Sometimes I'd have to give them a paddle. Done something stupid, paddling the fence. And this one boy, man, I think his backside was cast iron. You could whoop him. His parents would whoop him hard. And man, he'd just be like, you done? Okay. So he'd come up there, and I'd give him his 3 swats. And I didn't give him, I wasn't about to become close to even abuse anybody. Give him 3 swats. And this boy, he's a tough young man, high tolerance for pain. He'd turn, and his tears would be running down his face. He'd say, just want you to know, I'm not crying because that hurt. I said, I know it. So why are you crying? He said, because of all that stuff you said to me before you spanked me. Told him how disappointed I was, how much it broke my heart. Okay. Think, parents, if the children knew whatever is happening in my life, they are going to bear with me. They may not approve of it. They may disagree with it. I may get punished for it. But in the end, they're going to carry this with me. Think if we displayed that in our marriages. If these things could be said of our relationships with each other, husband and wife, suffereth long and is kind, seeketh not her own, always seeking the welfare of the other. That's deference. Not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, beareth all things, endureth all things. Man, wow, what in the world? If that wife felt like, okay, man, I messed up again, I done, overspent our budget again, but can't tell him because he's going to hit the roof. He's going to yell and scream and stomp and break stuff. Just think if she said, you know what, I can tell he'll be disappointed, but I know he'll love me. Think if the husband felt like, I can tell my wife absolutely anything. And she, though I may disappoint her, it may hurt, she's still going to love me. There is no deal breaker. The ultimate in security and significance. James 1, 19 through 20. Wherefore, my brethren, my beloved brethren, let every man be what? Swift to hear, slow to wrath. Slow to wrath. Why? For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God, the rightness of God. When we're angry, and man, we're fussing and fuming and yelling and stomping around, boy, sometimes as adults, we act just like children, don't we? We will get red in the face, and we will stomp, and we'll cross our arms, and we'll make faces, and we'll give the silent treatment, and we will pout and sulk. The wrath of God does not work. The wrath of man does not work the righteousness of God. It doesn't happen. Listen, sometimes someone will have made a simple mistake, and they don't want to keep it a secret. By the way, husbands and wives, there shouldn't be any secrets. We're one flesh, right? Am I right? We're one flesh? Brother Browski strikes me as a very intelligent man, so I'm going to give you a test here, okay, Brother Browski? Can I do that? Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of a number. Don't tell it to us. A number between 1 and 10, okay? But don't tell yourself what that number is. That's not possible, is it? To think of a number but not tell yourself what it is. Not in my... I can't keep a secret from myself. Now, my dad, he's starting to get Alzheimer's, and I think he is learning that a trick to be able to do that. But I can't keep secrets from myself. When we get married, we become one flesh. I may make a mistake, do something I know, my spouse, oh man, I made this mistake again. But ladies, we curb the tire or we get a ding in the car and oh man, hopefully they won't notice. And they come out 3 days later. How did that happen? Oh, well, how did that happen? Man, it looks like somebody ran right into that thing, doesn't it? How would those tires... Honey, did you curb the tire? No, the curb must have hit the tire. My tire didn't hit the curb. Sometimes we may be guilty of something and want to confess it, make it as right as possible. However, we can sabotage that by creating an atmosphere in which they feel they cannot come clean with us. We can do that with our children, and we can do that with our spouse. We create this atmosphere where we feel like I can't come clean, I cannot be totally honest, I cannot be transparent here, and so because of that, now we start building up this guilt, and we even start building up some resentment because the one that is our one flesh that is supposed to be there for us, we don't trust that they can really be there for us. Eventually, it comes out. It may be 10 years from now, but when it does come out, it might as well have been that day because the one that finds out, it's new to them. And now they have the mentality, oh, you didn't tell me. No, this is why. You hid this from me for all these years. We say things like we hear something else happens to somebody else. And we say to our spouse or to our children or to our parents, if I found out you were ever guilty of that, I could never forgive you. Now, in a weak moment, they become guilty of that, and now they want to make it right. And the person, whether it's the parents or the children or the spouse, whoever it is that we should be able to turn to, we can't because that person shut the door a long time ago with the words, I would never forgive you. Door closed. Not a safe atmosphere. I would never get over it if you ever did this. Now, the truth is, you may never totally get over it. Well, if I ever learned that you did this, here's what I would do when we say something that is totally out there because we think, okay, I'm going to scare our children out of ever even thinking of doing this. Let me tell you, that doesn't work. All you've done is shut a door and put landmines in that relationship. If this ever happens, then here's what I'm going to do, but we say something that's way out there. Listen, by saying things like this, we're actually introducing poison into the area of communication in our families. Listen, I'm overwhelmed with how many marriages are in distress. Overwhelmed. I told you I got a call early this morning. Somebody saying, lives over an hour from here. Hey, somebody gave us your number. Our marriage is in a shambles. We've been married for 1 month. We're actually saying, when we say things like that and introduce that poison into the area of communication of our families, we're actually saying, hey, look, you can talk to me, Dana, you can talk to me about almost anything. But there's some things you better not tell me because I will not tolerate it. And this whole thing will be over. We're actually saying that there are boundaries when it comes to our love for someone. Let me ask you this. What kind of boundary does God set up in determination, in respect to His love for you? What could you do that would get God to completely turn His back on you? What could you do that God would say, you know what? It's over for you, buddy. I will have nothing to do with you ever again. Anybody have any suggestions? What? No, being saved is a good thing. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, not being saved. But I'm talking for saved people, that's good thinking. But for saved people, what is it I could do that would cause God to totally break that relationship? Some adult, help me out. Somebody said it. Nothing. Do you see the security there? Do you see the significance there? He saved me when I was at my worst. All right? Without God, that's as worse as it can be. All right? And then he goes on and says, listen, Ronnie, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Never. Total security. You know what? I don't have to hide anything from God. By the way, it wouldn't work if I tried to. Okay? I can be totally open and honest with God about everything. Now, you know what? I might have to hide things from some of you rascals. God displays the kind of safety, security that we're supposed to model in our relationships. Listen to this. Listen to what David said. Proverbs 18:10, or this would be Solomon. The name of the Lord is a strong tower. The righteous runneth into it and is safe. Man, that's pretty good. I can run to God and I'm safe in Him. David said in Psalm 16:1, preserve me, O God, for in Thee do I put my trust. He's saying, God, all my eggs are in that one basket right there. All my trust I'm putting in You, and I feel safe with it there. I feel secure. Psalm 4:8, I will both lay me down in peace and sleep. For Thou, Lord, only makest me dwell in safety. Now, by the way, he had enemies all around him trying to kill him. He said, God, it's only in You that I find safety. Folks, look, in our homes, that's what we are supposed to be living out and modeling. I want to tell you something. I know it's not always easy. And we say things sometimes inadvertently. We think I'm just saying this to try to set up boundaries and all that, and that's all fine and good, except sometimes we will say things that actually close the door to communication. And what could have been handled years ago is allowed to fester and grow, and the poison's allowed to spread until it gets over here, and when it finally comes out, and this person says, man, I wanted to talk to somebody. I didn't know who I could talk to. A friend of mine here in town had a certain addiction. Nobody that goes to church here, I don't know if anybody in here would even know this guy, but he had a certain addiction. He said, man, I hated it. And I wanted to talk to somebody. And I finally found someone I could talk to. I found a friend I could talk to. And when I was able to tell that person, here's what I'm struggling with, he said, Ronnie, when I was able to do that, that's when I got victory over it. I didn't feel like I was having to hide it anymore. The guy eventually told his family. He doesn't tell everybody. For whatever reason, he felt like he could tell me. He said, that's when I got the victory over it right there. Ephesians 5:29 says this, For no man ever yet hated his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it, even as the Lord. That's how men were supposed to love our wives, as our own flesh. That word cherish, it means to keep warm, to keep close. Cherish is the attitude of recognizing the value of something. I cherish it. First time I ever, my wife and I, we've had disagreements. We've never had a a yelling match with each other. We both experienced that growing up, and we don't want any of that. Now, silent treatment, boy, she's good at that one. All right. But one time, the most aggravated, or first time I really got aggravated with her, my oldest son has a Bowie knife. It's a limited edition kind of knife, and I had it up in his closet with some stuff covering it and all. And I went in there one day, and I noticed she had laid a stack of clothes on it. Now, that wasn't going to bother it. But I said, what? Who put this stack of clothes on top of my son's knives? I did that. I didn't think it would hurt it. Oh, Dana, I can't believe I took the clothes off. I can't believe you put some clothes on the boy's knife. Okay? We were cherishing it. Okay? My wife has learned, some ladies like their little decorations and knickknacks. They cherish those things. My wife has learned not to cherish those because they're going to last about 2 weeks in my house. And then you're going to hear a shattering sound and one of the boys saying, sorry. It's that attitude of recognizing the value, the nourishing. Cherishing is the attitude. Nourishing is the action. It means to bring up, to rear to maturity. Is to treat in a valuable way. To take the other's feelings into account, to listen to the other's perspective, to ask questions that bring about clarity, to listen for the other's needs and wants. To create a safe atmosphere where, hey, you know what? I can talk to my husband, I can talk to my wife, I can talk to mom and dad because they value me, they cherish me, they treat me like it, and I know that I'm safe and secure and significant no matter what comes. So often we create an atmosphere in our home. By the way, our home's going to picture either the grace of God or the fall of man. It's supposed to picture the grace of God. We shut down communication by criticizing. By the way, not just criticizing each other, but criticizing others. Look, you criticize some other child, rather than using it as a teaching moment, you criticize some other child in another family for what they did. Well, I want to tell you that Landon Schroeder. Did you see him? Did you see him sleeping in church? I want to tell you what, that rascal right there. Good morning. Hey, it's time to go to school. Are you ready? Okay, no, I'm kidding, Landon. I'm sorry, buddy. I want to tell you what, that Landon Schroeder, if I ever saw you do that, I didn't know you was really asleep, buddy. I'm so sorry. If I ever saw you do that, boy, that's a rotten kid right there. I'm just playing, okay? You didn't hear the whole thing. Now listen. Now that child feels like, man, I don't want my parent to feel that way about me. If I get in trouble for doing that, I can't let them know. I've got to hide it. Okay? Criticism, talking down to someone. Who likes to be talked down to like you're a little kid? I don't like people talking down to me. I'd rather just talk face to face like a man. But I hate being talked down to. You talk down to me, hey, conversation's over. Hostility. Dismissiveness. Being inattentive while someone's talking. Boy, that just grates my nerves. Interrupting when someone's talking. We can shut it down. And when we do, listen, guys, here I was bad about this for a while. My wife would be venting to me about something, and I'd listen. I already figured the problem out. And so as she's talking about, I say, okay, hey, here we got it here. ABC 1, 2, 3, problem solved. You know what? She walks away more hurt than she was when she came to me because all she didn't want an answer. She just wanted somebody to listen to her. That's it. And I found out when I learned, hey, she just wants me to listen. I started listening. I'd ask a few questions. She would talk herself into the answer and then say, thank you so much. I never would have thought of that. That was a great idea. I'm walking away to hero, and all I did was say, So what you're saying is this, and this is how it made you feel, and this is what you're thinking. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. Well, man, what do you think? What do you think you need to do? Boy, she'd come up with the solution, give me the credit. If we're not careful, we will create in our homes, and I think this is a big thing because I hear often, man, there's no communication, there's no good communication, there's real communication. There's nothing that's in depth. And by the way, guys, that Brother Miller told us that, oh, he's not in here. I can talk about him a lot. He told us in Sunday school, he said, the other day my wife, she was asking me about my feelings. He said, I don't know how I feel. He said, I don't like to talk about my feelings. Let's talk about another subject. Guys, we're not about that, but that's where the intimacy is. Really, when you listen to someone's feelings and their thoughts, you're really getting to know who they are. Okay? So what I want to encourage you to do tonight, what I'm encouraging you to do, is to create a home, create an atmosphere, and it may take some time, especially if it's been anything but this. That these words describe your home, the atmosphere. Long-suffering, kind, seeketh not their own, so selfless, not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, beareth all things, endureth all things. Just think if we loved our children, if we displayed our love for our children, displayed our love for our spouse, how young people displayed our love for our parents, that way right there. Think how solid our marriages would be. Think how solid our relationships with our children would be. Since that with my children and doing that, and we've gotten past that, and how they tell me things, I think, holy smoke, I didn't need to hear that. Let's create a home that reflects to this lost world the love of our God. These homes falling apart, it is not necessary. It doesn't have to happen. The devil Jesus told Peter, he said, look, the devil's desire to sift you as wheat. That means to shred you, to tear you apart. And let me tell you something, he desires to do that with your family, with your marriage, with your relationship with your parents, your relationship with your children. He desires to tear it apart. Let's create an atmosphere where he cannot get a toehold. And let's have the victory in our family.